opening. What if the most important archaeological discovery wasn't gold or ancient cities, but proof that human compassion is older than civilization itself? A revolutionary discovery hidden in ancient bones reveals something remarkable for decades. We've often imagined our prehistoric ancestors as harsh survivors living by a simple rule: only the fittest endure. But what if that perspective misses a crucial aspect of their humanity? Recent breakthroughs in ancient DNA analysis have revealed something extraordinary. Scientists have discovered that people with Down syndrome lived among our earliest ancestors, not as outcasts, but as valued members of their communities. Using revolutionary genetic techniques, researchers analyzed DNA from nearly 10,000 ancient human remains. Unlike traditional bone analysis, which could only offer educated guesses, ancient DNA can detect the genetic signature of Down syndrome, an extra copy of chromosome 21. This additional genetic material creates distinctive characteristics and developmental differences that would have required continuous care and support in prehistoric times. For the first time in history, scientists can reliably identify Down syndrome in prehistoric remains. Dr. Adam Rowrock of the University of Adelaide explains, "This represents a breakthrough that was previously impossible with skeletal analysis alone." These discoveries span millennia across Europe, revealing something that challenges prevailing assumptions about prehistoric society. The story begins not a Neanderthal child story with our own species, but with a discovery that would shed new light on the very definition of humanity in a cave called Cova Negra in eastern Spain. A discovery from a Middle Paleolithic context, though found in an undated disturbed level, suggests a profound level of care. Neanderthal families made temporary camps, hunting and gathering, before moving on. Among the remains discovered was a fragment no bigger than a few mm part of a child's skull, containing the inner ear bones. When scientists examined this tiny fossil, using advanced CT scanning, they discovered multiple abnormalities, the combination of malformations. After a process of differential diagnosis, ruling out other possibilities, was found to be uniquely compatible with Down syndrome. But here's what makes this discovery extraordinary. This child, nicknamed Tina, CN46700 by researchers, lived to at least 6 years old in the demanding world of Neanderthal hunter-gatherers, where groups constantly moved in search of food. This child would have suffered from severe hearing loss, frequent vertigo attacks, and balance problems. Imagine Tina's daily reality: the group preparing to move camp while she struggled with dizzying vertigo that made simple walking treacherous. The sounds of approaching danger or the calls of her family would have been muted or completely silent to her. Each step across uneven terrain would have been a challenge. Each change in elevation, a potential crisis of balance and disorientation. Paleoanthropologist Mercedes Conde Valverde of the University of Alcalá notes that such a condition would have required continuous and intensive care from the entire group. Someone would have needed to guide Tina during migrations, steady her when vertigo struck, and ensure she didn't become separated from the group in their nomadic lifestyle. This wasn't just parental responsibility. It is probable that other members of the social group continuously assisted the mother, either by helping with daily tasks or directly providing care for the child, who could not reciprocate the assistance received. This case provides profound evidence supporting true altruism among our earliest relatives, significantly contributing to a long-standing archaeological debate about hominins' social behavior. This Neanderthal evidence was compelling, but researchers needed a more definitive tool to study our own species. While the Neanderthal definitive proof in Homo sapiens case relies on skeletal analysis, the advent of ancient DNA brought unprecedented certainty to Down syndrome detection in Homo sapiens. The oldest genetically confirmed case comes from Ireland, dating back 500 years around 500 BC in a Neolithic tomb. Archaeologists found a 6-month-old boy whose DNA revealed the unmistakable signature of trisomy 21. A massive study led by researchers from the University of Adelaide and Max Planck Institute screened nearly 10,000 ancient individuals. Their groundbreaking results, published in Nature Communications in February 2024, identified 6 cases of Down syndrome and 1 case of Edwards syndrome across prehistoric Europe. The numbers told one story, but the burials themselves revealed something even more profound on the Greek island of Aina, dating to approximately 300 years ago, around 1300 BC. Archaeologists found a 12 to 16-month-old girl with Down syndrome. She was interred with an elaborate necklace containing 93 beads made of glass paste fans and carnelian. The most striking evidence comes from Iron Age Spain around 2800 to 500 years ago, where researchers discovered multiple infants with chromosomal conditions in Navarra. These children received something remarkable: burials within homes or important buildings, rather than in typical cemeteries. This practice was extraordinary because cremation was the standard funeral custom at the time. Yet these infants were deliberately chosen for special treatment. Some burials included bronze rings and Mediterranean seashells, suggesting these children held particular meaning in their communities. Research from the University Autònoma de Barcelona reveals that while most people were cremated during this period, these children were purposefully selected for unique burial practices that set them apart. This pattern of special treatment becomes even more significant when viewed across what the evidence reveals: cultures across different cultures, time periods, and geographical locations. The pattern remains consistent. Individuals with Down syndrome received thoughtful treatment that distinguished them from typical burials. This evidence challenges assumptions about prehistoric priorities. These weren't societies that solely discarded the vulnerable. Instead, they invested time, resources, and emotional energy in caring for those who needed support. This suggests a profound and deliberate investment in care, implying a shared understanding of human value that emerged across different cultures. The findings from Down syndrome cases align with a growing body of evidence for prehistoric care that extended to individuals with various conditions. The broader picture of prehistoric disability. These discoveries align with growing evidence that prehistoric peoples regularly supported individuals with various conditions, including dwarfism, hydrophyllus, and spina. The survival and preservation of people with severe disabilities required cooperation that extended far beyond immediate family. For instance, the Romeo II individual with severe dwarfism around 11,000 BP in Italy survived to young adulthood, 17 to 20 years indicative of substantial group support. Similarly, the Cavs 12 child with hydrophilus around 95,000 BP in Israel lived to approximately 3 years of age, strongly implying ongoing familial and communal care. However, the identified Down syndrome cases, often involving infants or very young children, highlight a form of care directed towards individuals who would have required extensive, continuous support from birth, rather than care for adults who might have previously contributed to the group or were expected to provide future, albeit limited, assistance. But every answer in archaeology leads to 10 new questions. And these discoveries opened mysteries that researchers are still trying to solve. Why do we see unresolved questions? Concentration of cases in Iron Age Spain. Does this reflect genuine demographic patterns, superior preservation conditions, or exceptional archaeological methodology? What about individuals who lived beyond infancy? The current DNA evidence predominantly shows perinatal or infant deaths, but longer-lived cases might exist in remains we haven't yet examined with advanced genetic techniques. Most intriguingly, how did daily life accommodate these vulnerable members? What specific social adaptations allowed prehistoric communities to successfully include individuals with significant disabilities? Researchers emphasize that these questions are just the beginning. As new techniques develop and more sites are examined, the picture of prehistoric disability care continues to evolve. These ancient mysteries aren't just academic puzzles. They're fundamentally changing how we see ourselves today. These ancient modern implications discoveries fundamentally challenge narratives about prehistoric life, being solely focused on competitive advantage. They reveal that care for the vulnerable has deep evolutionary roots, predating written history, organized religion, or formal ethical systems. This research opens new possibilities for understanding genetic conditions in ancient populations and the social responses they generated. Each new discovery adds pieces to a puzzle that reshapes our understanding of human nature itself from a suspected conclusion. Neanderthal child in a Spanish cave to Bronze Age burials across Europe. The evidence tells a unified story. Our prehistoric ancestors embraced those born different, providing care that extended far beyond biological necessity. These discoveries, made possible by advances in ancient DNA analysis, reveal that compassion and inclusion are not recent human developments, but ancient traits that help define us as a species. The next time someone suggests that caring for the vulnerable is somehow unnatural, remember Tina, the Neanderthal child who thrived for at least 6 years in one of history's harshest environments. Her story stands as testament to something remarkable, that love and compassion are as old as humanity itself. Perhaps the most significant discovery isn't that Down syndrome existed in prehistory, but that human kindness did.